and welcome back to another video. My name is Jill and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about what I've been currently reading. So let's just get into it. So as we have discussed in my previous video, I have been absent for quite a long time. About 5 or 6 months I've been on a pretty long hiatus, not just from making booktube videos, but also from just reading in general. If you want to know sort of more of the specifics for that, you guys can go watch my previous video, which is the Getting Back to Booktube tag, and I explain all the good stuff that went into that. So like I said, I really haven't been reading very much. I've only read like a handful of books total in 2018, which is really uncomfortable for me because I normally read about 70 to 100 books a year, and it's like the year's halfway over and I've read maybe 10, maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure on the exact number, which is perfectly fine, but like I'm not saying that reading 10 books is bad. It's just like weird for me because I'm just used to reading so much more, and I feel so like out of it. Since my school has let out and it has been summer vacation, I have slowly been getting back into reading, and I have read a total of 2 books in the month of June, and I am currently reading 2 books, so I'm going to talk about sort of all of those, and also I'm going to talk about just the book that I'm going to be reading next. Even though I did mention it in my previous video, I do want to mention it again because I'm so excited about it. So I'll start with the 2 books that I read in June, then move into the 2 books I'm currently reading, and then the book that I'm going to read. That's a little roadmap for you. If you're curious, you guys probably don't care, but let's just get started. So the first book that I completed in the month of June to try to pull myself out of my reading slump, because this author has the unbelievable ability of pulling me out of reading slumps. Like almost 100% of the time, if I read one of her books, I'm pulled out of a reading slump. That didn't really happen this time, which I am slightly disappointed about. But the first book that I read was Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. Now just in general, if you've been on my channel long, I really love Colleen Hoover, especially her newer works. I know that lots of people have problems with her being problematic, which I can understand, but I really personally enjoy her novels, and again, especially like her newer ones. Now Hopeless is one of her older works, but I thought I would give it a try. It's like one of the first books that she wrote. Yes, this book is definitely not what I thought it was. So the title is Hopeless, which sounds like real dark, real like you're getting into some real shit. It actually, like, it was hard to read, but it wasn't like as hard as I thought. But it really, like, it was really dark, and it has some like really messed up things happen in this book. But overall, it's not as like, it didn't affect me as emotionally as, let's say, her other books, but that just might be me because I didn't like relate to it very much. I think it's best to go into Colleen Hoover's books not really knowing anything. All I will say is that it is a new adult romance, and so if you are a youngin', I would probably suggest maybe waiting on Colleen Hoover because they are sort of new adult things and there's adult themes. Like there's lots of sex in this book, lots and lots of sex in this book, and so just sort of be warned about that going in. I ended up giving it, I think on Goodreads, a 3.75 out of 5, but I've decided to since lower that to either a 3 or a 3.5 because I had many problems with this book. The main one being, it is very obvious that this is one of the first books that Colleen has written, and like it was cliche so badly. Like I am one that likes cliche stories every once in a while. Like sometimes you just need a cliche romance. Like sometimes you just need that. And I'm definitely one that like can get past some of the cliche things that some other people might struggle harder with. I can sort of get past them. But this one just was past my line of amount of cliches that I would allow. Like just the writing was so cliche, and like everything that happened was slightly cliche. Like there was like a twist that was supposed to happen in this book, and I sort of guessed it like right off the bat, so that was sort of disappointing. Another reason why I didn't like this book is the romance. Like it was like there were just so many aspects of this romance made me uncomfortable to read. It would completely spoil the book if I sort of told what I meant by this, but I guess just the romance and relationship between the characters I thought had some pretty problematic moments, and so that really turned me off of the idea and made me like hesitant to sort of go for this romance. So all in all, I did have some major problems with this book. I did enjoy it. I did like read it really quickly, which is what I was sort of hoping for, but it's definitely my least favorite Colleen Hoover book that I've read so far. Like I normally love her books, but this book just was not my thing. So yes, I think I'm going to officially say my rating is 3 out of 5 stars, so I'm going to stop talking about this book now. Next up, I read a book that everyone has been raving about and talking about, and that is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. So I had picked this book up because I saw everyone talking about it, and if you follow Tomi Adeyemi's Twitter, she is just the cutest cutest little thing. I love her to pieces, and so I automatically wanted to pick up her book. And when I got it in my hands, actually in her author bio, she talks about how she loves watching BTS music videos, which is my ultimate favorite K-pop group. I love BTS. I would die for them, trust me. You will be hearing more about this later. But I love them, and so that made me like immediately pick up her book. I was like, this is one of my people. Okay, I need to read her book. And I will say I really enjoyed it, and I completely understand why it's getting the hype that it is. Now, I was in such a bad reading slump, and I just was not feeling this book at the beginning. This book took me a whole month to read. Not because I think of any fault of this book. This book is fantastic. I think everyone should read it. It's great. But it just took me so long, which is definitely not what I needed at the time because I was in the reading slump. So I think that greatly like affected my sort of feelings overall of this book. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars because like the end was fantastic. I loved the ending, and like as I read the ending when I was sort of really getting back into reading, so I really like fell in love with the story, but it just took a really long time because of my reading slump. But I definitely think that is worth the hype. It is a beautiful, wonderful fantasy story. I think like the back of this book is like the best way to describe it. It says, "They killed my mother, they took our magic, they tried to bury us, now we rise." It basically takes place in a world where magic has basically been defeated, and basically it's set up to where it is the people who used to have magic versus sort of the royal family or the ruling king that is currently in power. And so it follows multiple perspectives. It follows a girl who used to have magic whose name is Zelly, and she is Zelly. I'm going to butcher these names, I'm so sorry. But it follows her. She's sort of like the main character, I would say. But it also follows King's son. His name is Anan, and it follows him as he is sort of hunting down this girl. And it also follows Anan's sister, so the king's daughter, as well during the story. And they basically have like a quest to go on. It is like an intense fantasy book. It's a chunk of a book too, which probably is why that it wasn't like the absolute best choice just for me in my reading slump to read like a long detailed fantasy, because it's just like harder for me to like get into because the world is just completely different. And I know that it just won the Jimmy Fallon sort of summer reads thing, which I thought was so cool. And she really deserves it. If you haven't seen her Twitter yet, definitely go like check it out because she is the funniest, sweetest person you will meet. And I think that her book was fantastic, even though I personally, it took me so long to read. Fantastic, and I loved it a lot. That was a long explanation of the 2 books that I have read. Now I'm going to get into the 2 books that I'm currently reading. So this one is one that I talked about in my last video, and I'm almost done with it. And guys, and that is Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the 3rd book in the Illuminate files, which is a sort of a collection of companion novels that take place in space. Artificial intelligences in this book, and like I said, like space battles, and like really like things that just make you think. Like you just like, they make you think so hard about all kinds of things. And they're so kick-ass and awesome, and I love this book. Like there's lots of stuff, like there's like no proper way to explain this series. I would definitely explain it to where if you are in a reading slump, pick up these books because you will be out of your reading slump, I guarantee it, or at least I would hope so, because I am flying out of my reading slump after reading this book. And again, like I only have like 100 pages left. Like it's getting real, okay? And this is the final book. It is getting real freaking real over here, okay? I am gasping. I love all of the books in this series. Like I said, it's like really intense space battles, and if you guys didn't know, it's told completely in files and pictures, which I know some people are hesitant to pick up these books because they're thinking, how am I going to connect to these characters if they're just through files? You connect to these characters so hard. Like you just gotta experience it for yourself. And if you are like you really don't want to read it, I've heard that the audiobooks are just like some of the best audiobooks out there that they are to die for. Now I personally cannot afford these audiobooks, so I haven't been able to experience these books via audiobook, even though I know so many people are going to tell me to check them out. But that is another option if you are hesitant to read the files. Listen to the audiobook because apparently it's fantastic. And next up, this is a book that I just started like a while ago. I really haven't made any progress on it, and that is A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. I've heard some pretty negative things about this book, about it being so short and about it not really mattering, and about like how it costs $20 to buy this and it doesn't really matter. I'm not sure. I am a diehard lover of this series, which I heard that like if you're a diehard lover of this series, you'll love this. So far I'm not really feeling it. It's sort of like hard to just like get thrown back into this world because it's been so long since A Court of Wings and Ruin. I have heard some really wonderful things about it, but I also have heard some things that make me a little bit hesitant to pick it up. But I will read it at some point because I love this series with all my heart and nothing is ever going to change that. And then the only other book that I wanted to sort of touch on is the book that I'm totally going to read next after I finish Obsidio. And I just wanted to mention this because on my previous video I got so many comments of people telling me how wonderful this book is, and that is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. Yeah, I heard that it has a wonderful anxiety rep. I heard that it is about like fan fiction and writing stuff like that, and it seems like something that would be right up my alley. So I just wanted to mention this video and to thank everyone who commented on my video telling me how great this book is, because you really pushed me to pick it up and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, I will be picking this one up next and I cannot wait. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video today. That is basically just all that I've sort of been currently reading and my thoughts on the books that I've been currently reading. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too rambly. It's sort of hard to sort of like get back into things, so if I was a little bit rambly, I do apologize for that. It is hard to sort of like come up with summaries and like all that good stuff like off the top of my head. Like it's a skill that I need to sort of relearn. If you like this video, please give it a like if you did, and subscribe if you're new here and want to see more videos from me. I have all my social media linked down in the description box, including my Goodreads, personal Instagram, and Twitter. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you later in another one very soon. Bye!